Welcome to 7.RP.3, goal number 2, part B. This is the first video for part B, and this will correlate with your problems that are on page 347. In this video, we are focusing still on using proportions to solve multi-step percent problems. And in this particular case, you're actually going to be solving percent-based problems, so you won't have to worry about that decimal and fraction thing so much anymore. So, a percent proportion. It is essentially one ratio that compares part of a quantity to the whole quantity. So it compares part to whole. The other ratio is an equivalent percent that is written as a fraction with the denominator of 100. So you're looking at that fraction-based percent. But you're using the numbers from the percent problem. So we have part to whole, that is this whole first step. The one ratio that compares part of a quantity to the whole. And this whole second part, the equivalent percent written as part of 100, that is this percent over 100. So if you notice, we have a proportion that we're going to be working with. So you will use that cross product property to be able to solve this, or if you're lucky, you will be able to just use scale factor. But either way, cross product property and scale factor are both things that you will need to play around with for this particular problem. So we have 12 is what percent of 32? That is our sort of warm-up problem that we have going on. 12 is what percent of 32? And I'm going to keep using this template up here that we have to sort of focus our energies. So 12 is what percent of 32? So we need to find this percent. We don't know what percent is. We don't know how much it is. But we do know what our part is. Our part is 12. And if you notice, I'm labeling these things. We don't know the percent. That's going to be our x. And our 32 is our whole. So we now can solve this proportion, and we can do a little bit of work. We have 12 times 100. 12, actually I'm going to do this in the right colors. We have 12 times 100, and that is equal to 32 times x. So if we did the math, 12 times 100, that gives us 12 times 100, 1200, which is equal to 32 times x. Then we could divide by 32 on each side. So 12 divided by 1200 divided by 32 equals 37.5, which is equal to our x. So that is 37.5%. So 12 compared to 32 is 30%, and 37.5% compared to 100. So we could also say our final answer is the following. We could say 12 is 37.5% of 32. So that could be our final answer. All right, so let's practice a couple of problems. Our first one is this. What number is 15.5% of 450? So we're using that same proportion, but we need to actually figure out what is what. So we have here, we need to find what number is 15.5%, so that is our percent. It's nice that it has the percent thing there, so we can write 15.5%, so we can just know that it's there. And we need to know what number, so that is our part, that is our x, and then our whole is this 450, so we can write whole there. Next step, we can do x times 100 is equal to 450 times 15.5%, or 15.5, we're just writing 15.5. So 450 times 15.5, to do that math, we get 6,975, and we still have 100x, and I just mix those up. That's okay that we do that. It's multiplication. When everything's multiplying each other, we can mix them up like that. And then we're going to divide by 100. So 100x divided by 100 is simply x, and that is equal to 6,975 divided by 100 is 69.75. So 69.75 is 15.5% of 450. So that would be our final answer for that problem. Let's try one more type of problem for this particular situation. We have 78. The number 78 is 60% of what number? So this time, we don't know the whole. That is going to be our x. 78 is our part. And the 60% is obviously our percent, so we can say 60. So 78 times 100 is equal to x times 60. 78 times 100 equals 7,800, and that is equal to x times 60. So we can then divide by 60 on both sides, and we end up getting 130 is equal to x. So our final answer for this particular problem is 78 is 60% of 130. So now you can see 3 different methods of finding various parts. We've found the part, we have found the percent, and we have also found the whole. So we found 3 different things. Types of percent problems that we can see are find the percent. So we're just reiterating this. Find the percent. You'll end up with problems such as 1 is what percent of 5? So we could write that as 1 over 5 is equal to the percent divided by 100. We could find the part to the equation, so we could write the x over 5 is equal to 20 over 100. So what number is 20% of 5? And then we can also find the whole, which is essentially 1 is 20% of what number? So we need to know the whole, and that ends up being our x. So we have 3 different types of x's that we can find. We can find the percent, we can find the part, and we can find the whole. So moving on from there, I just moved everything around. Moving on from there, we can actually start working on the homework. The homework starts on page 347. You have a few problems there. Work yourself through those problems. If you have any questions, please ask, and enjoy percent problems.